When the imperial palace came to collect the portrait paintings for the showgirl selection, I deliberately put an ink dot on my cheek after my younger sister discovered it. She secretly swapped it back to the normal portrait for me. An imperial decree named me as the one possessing the queen's physiognomy. In the end, I still entered the palace and became the crown prince's consort at the same time. Another girl with a face destined to bring disaster to the kingdom was made the secondary consort. I heard she is the empress's niece. The crown prince resents her and refuses to set foot in her palace even once. In contrast, I am lavished with endless favor and bore him a child in the second year of our marriage. Yet on his deathbed, he refused to let me enter the royal mausoleum. He wrote my epitaph with a face devoid of pain. Though she was my destined wife, she was not my destined one. After 100 years, the only one who shall be buried with me is her. He had resented me all his life. For taking the place of the woman he loved, he was only glad to use me as a shield, hiding her devastating brilliance. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day I delivered the portrait. I quickly intercepted the eunuch and retrieved the portrait stained with ink. This lifetime, he pursues his fated love, while I search for the one my heart desires. 01. Eunuch, please wait a moment. I took out my own pouch and handed it over together with the portrait. Shenbao ran over. Sister. The portrait is dirty. I've already replaced it for you. I covered her mouth and gave a forced smile toward the old man. I'm counting on you, grandfather. The eunuch misunderstood, but merely smiled and weighed the pouch in his hand. Since this pair is more suitable, I'll take this one with me. He stared at my face and added a flattering smile. I only hope that when you rise to prominence in the future, you won't forget about me. I nodded politely after the palace attendants had left. Only then did I release my grip on Shenbao's mouth, and she began to gasp for air. Sister, what are you doing? That ink stain on your face in the painting looks like you've grown a huge mole. How could it ever be selected? In this dynasty, choosing a consort has nothing to do with family background. Only daughters of officials of the right age need to submit their portraits, and the imperial astrologer will select the one with the most queen-like countenance to be the crown princess of this generation. 3 years ago, while praying at a Taoist temple, a renowned monk passed by and told me that a phoenix would come to rest in my destiny. I didn't quite believe it, but to be safe, I still dabbed a drop of ink on the portrait. Sister, you've always been so meticulous. How could you use a painting like that for the talent selection? I looked up at the sound of her voice, and a sudden ache rose in my nose. When Shenbao saw my eyes turning red, she quickly crouched down, darting around me anxiously. Oh no, I didn't mean it was ugly, just, oh right. She nearly ruined everything. I gritted my teeth, grabbed her ear, and dragged her home. It's because I don't want to enter the palace. In this life and the past, it has always been so with such an ugly portrait. It probably won't even pass the initial screening. Satisfied, I believed that in this life I would never have to see Zhao Heng again. The next day a sedan chair from the palace stopped right at our doorstep. 02. Outside the palace gate, Shenbao, barely able to contain her excitement, lowered her voice and said to me, "Big sister, your painting is so ugly yet you still passed the first screening. The old Taoist priest was really right before. You're truly fated to be the empress." I stepped down from the carriage, veil on, swaying slightly in the wind. Fated empress? Not necessarily. In my previous life, after the imperial edict was issued, I was reluctant to avoid dragging the Shen family down. I still entered the palace. Zhao Heng never looked down on me for my humble origins. Phoenix crown and flowing robe, candlelight burning through the night, every bit of dignity was properly observed. In contrast, the concubine was cold and forsaken. Carried in a small palanquin, she was quickly settled in a remote wing. She was forced upon me by the Empress Dowager. She bears the face of a harlot who brings ruin to the nation. I detest her. Just place her in the side chamber. You need not meet her. Zhao Heng said this for a long stretch of time. The Eastern Palace belonged only to me and Zhu Jiqing. He stayed with me all along, only occasionally visiting the junior consort for a few days. He said it was to give face to the Empress's maternal family. I slowly curved my lips into a gentle smile and softly agreed. Not long after, I became pregnant. Within less than a month, Good news also came from Jiqing's side hall. The Empress stormed into the Eastern Palace in a fluster. I thought she was going to stand up for her niece, so I proactively went to the main hall to mediate between us. Suddenly, a sound of shattered cups and utensils echoed from inside the hall. The Empress accused Zhao Heng of wrongdoing. You used my name back then to insist on taking a concubine. Fine, that was your choice. But now, how dare you allow a woman from a family notorious for damaging the nation to bear a child? Prince, are you out of your mind? Zhao Heng knelt on the ground, his back straight. Mother, the crown princess had her child first, and her auspicious sign came before. Everything will be fine. That's when I found out the Empress clearly dislikes that niece. It's Zhao Heng who favors her. He married me back then only to smoothly bring Jiqing into the palace. Misfortune and fortune balance each other. Yin and yang interdependently coexist. I stood outside the hall, my heart pounding fiercely, my vision darkened, and I fainted upon waking. Zhao Heng was tenderly stroking my belly. He knew I had noticed, yet he didn't seem to mind much, merely patted my palm and smiled his usual enigmatic smile. Our child will surely be a wise and enlightened ruler someday. He ultimately believed the words of the imperial astrologer from years ago. I am destined to be empress. My child will be destined to be crown prince. I stared blankly at the bed curtains. I thought to myself, this is for the best. I should never have expected anything to begin with. Zhao Heng has someone in his heart, and there is no place for him in mine either. It would be better to seize power, wait for Zhao Heng to die, and become the Empress Dowager perhaps. Then I might see him once more. 03. It's just that things didn't go as Zhao Heng wished. Jiqing and I each gave birth to princesses. Zhao Heng still gave out rewards as he should, but after court sessions, he couldn't help but walk toward the side hall. He favored her, and naturally favored the child she bore. The longer time passed, the more the courtiers in the Eastern Palace noticed who was truly favored. So much so that on the day my Liren fell ill with a fever, not even a royal physician was available. I ignored my own weakness and carried the child to the side pavilion to find Zhao Heng. That was the first time I met Jiqing. The beauty, with skin as smooth as congealed fat, was held in Zhao Heng's arms as he spoke to her softly. Jiqing, our child can be raised by our side. May she be like you, a carefree and easygoing little princess. As for Liren, born of the crown princess, she will be sent to the Empress Dowager to be raised. In the future, she will be just right for a political marriage to secure peace for our nation. They wanted to manipulate me like a puppet, manipulate my daughter together. I clutched Yuan tightly in my arms, my heart thudding violently, and spat out a mouthful of blood. Yes, I can endure it, but my child cannot. I won't let her become a pawn that Zhao Heng can manipulate at will. I had someone bring in a stillborn infant, intending to swap my princess out of the palace. The bone whistle at my neck hung down. After a moment of hesitation, I picked it up. A series of low, mournful notes echoed out into the silent night, haunting and piercing. A figure quickly appeared in the corner of the wall, but I never expected the person to be Shenbao. She was masked, carrying away Liren. Then she returned, seizing me and pretending to be an assassin. That night, the slanting wind shook the fine rain. Zhao Heng was meticulous by nature and still noticed it. He arrived with his sword in hand, worry and bitterness intertwined in his eyes. Release the crown prince's consort. I'll be your hostage. Whether it's to kidnap me or seek revenge, Shenbao wants to take me away. Many questions remain unasked, lingering deep within. Before I could open my mouth, an arrow flew from afar, grazing my cheek and piercing Shenbao's throat. I turned back in a daze, my whole body feeling as if it had fallen into an ice cellar. Bao fell to the ground, her mask slipping off. She stared at the arrow feathers in her throat, unable to utter another word. She could only smile at me as she did in childhood, raindrops mingling with blood sliding into her slowly opening and closing lips. I knew her mouth's movement. She said, "Sister, Liren has been handed over properly. It's all Bao's fault. I'm sorry, Sister." 04. Sister. Shenbao stretched her neck and spoke with the chivalrous air of one who lives by swift justice. "Dear sister, what are you thinking about?" Tears fell without warning. I urgently grabbed her hand and pressed it against my heart, rubbing it again and again. until I finally felt the real sense of rebirth. Shenbao sheepishly scratched the back of her head. Big sister, you're being so gentle today, I'm actually a bit uncomfortable. Come on, let's get inside quickly. With my plan, you're guaranteed to be eliminated, and we'll definitely be able to have dinner together afterwards. The imperial tutor not only had to personally inspect the remaining candidate maids but also examine their family members' facial features to ensure the candidates hadn't used disguises. I held Shenbao's hand, walking along the path from my previous life, my heart still trembling with relief. It wasn't actually that long after all. Then why couldn't I find my way out that night? When the banquet began, the imperial advisor's gaze swept inch by inch over the faces of the selected maidens. Soft sobbing came from a corner. I quietly lifted my eyes. Zhu Jiqing had just been branded with the mark of a nation-bringing calamity, streaks of tears on her cheeks, her eyelids swollen like walnuts as she shrank back at the very end. Zhao Heng sat there solemnly, his expression composed, but the hand hidden in his sleeve was clenched tightly. So even as early as this, he had already been voicing his indignation for the one in his heart. Remove your veil and lift your head. The Grand Tutor finally came to a stop in front of me under everyone's gaze. I snapped back to my senses and lifted the veil. A wave of quickly spread around. Good heavens, that birthmark on her face is so terrifying. With such an impure facial appearance, how was she selected to come in? The national preceptor's brow was tightly furrowed. It's even more severe than in the portrait. He examined her carefully for a moment, then shook his head and sighed. Her facial structure is truly exceptional, 1 in a million. It's just a pity that this birthmark overshadows her forehead and suppresses the rising purple aura between her brows. Upon hearing this, the light in the Empress's eyes dimmed as quickly as it had risen. She waved her hand regretfully, dismissing me. I breathed a sigh of relief. It was worth my effort this morning to deliberately paint half of my face black with dye. As I lowered my head to depart, a cold voice suddenly reached my ear. Wait a moment. Zhao Heng casually curled his fingers. Come here, let me have a look. 05. My heart paused for a moment. I brought my hands together, calmly standing before him. Zhao Heng lifted his eyelids, his gaze lingering long on the darkened patch on my face. He dabbed a bit of wine onto his fingertip and gently rubbed it. Then he cupped my chin, roughly kneading my cheek. The pressure wasn't light, and I winced in pain. Stepping backward half a pace, Zhao Heng, in full view of everyone, casually gripped my waist and determinedly tried to wipe off the black from my face until the skin turned blackish red, nearly coming off in flakes. Then he tilted his head oddly, probably purely puzzled, and asked, "Are you sure it's not painted on?" I put my veil back on and hurriedly bowed my head in greeting. Your Highness, this birthmark of mine has been with me since the womb. It is already an immense blessing to have the honor of appearing before you. How could I deliberately stain myself with ink to deceive your Highness? I spoke without so much as a flush of the cheeks. Appearing utterly at ease, Zhao Heng, realizing his discourtesy, averted his gaze from mine. Rest assured, I have no interest in you. It's merely that I worry someone of the Empress's appearance wandering among the common people might bring misfortune to me. I smiled ironically to myself, yet my gaze remained unchanged. If that is the case, I pray that your Highness finds a worthy match and may blessings accompany you throughout your life. As I spoke, I took Bia's hand and turned to leave. A pair of eyes followed me closely from behind. Zhao Heng suddenly let out a cold laugh, then bowed toward the Empress. Your Majesty, since no woman with the royal consort's visage has appeared in this generation, perhaps it would be fitting to appoint Miss Shen as a secondary consort. When the time comes, there will be many secret medicines in the palace, and there will surely be a way to remove the birthmark on her face. I jerked my head back and widened my eyes in disbelief. 06. He truly went to great lengths to welcome Zhu Jiqing into the palace. But in this life, I refused to be anyone else's shield, let alone the Crown Prince's court's pathetic mascot. I turned back and, almost instinctively, grabbed the imperial astrologer's robe. Lord Astrologer, this humble maiden knows a thing or two about physiognomy. I understand that even if this birthmark is removed, it cannot change the fate carried in one's very bones. Am I right, my lord? My voice was calm, yet a faint tremor still escaped the national preceptor. hidden beneath his cloak. Revealed only half of a delicate, slender cheek. I couldn't make out his face, yet I inexplicably sensed a hint of pity. The national preceptor's fingers flicked through the divination stalks. From the readings, it's indeed unfavorable. If forcibly removed, it would only draw more suspicion. Zhao Heng's face darkened, his jaw clenched tightly. The Empress clutched her chest in distress. Her emotions had swung too violently, and she couldn't help but show her exhaustion. Enough, enough, I am deeply vexed. Have this Miss Shen and that Zhu Jiqing, the so-called omen of national ruin, both shown out. I sincerely thanked and took my leave outside Chunghua Palace. The evening wind blew, and the spine, drenched in cold sweat, gradually cooled. Zhu Jiqing pounded on the tightly shut palace door, sobbing as if her heart were breaking. She had known Zhao Heng for a long time and truly wished to enter the Eastern Palace, but lost out because of a mere matter of facial fortune. Miss Shen, you tell me, how can a mere woman like me possibly have the omens of ruining a nation? We've all been victimized by these baseless theories about facial features. Don't you think? She felt oppressed and wanted nothing more than to confide in a kindred spirit, someone who shared her fate, and pour out her grievances. Without memories of a previous life, I might have pitied her fate out of nowhere. She was labeled as having a face that would bring disaster to the nation. Not only could she not enter the palace, but none of the prestigious wealthy families in Zhengzhou would dare to come and propose marriage. But how innocent was I in my past life? Zhao Heng could not openly show favoritism toward her, yet when she wanted a set of jewelry, he first gifted me a set to ward off misfortune. When he wanted to have a child with the woman he loved, fate, in its great mercy, let me get pregnant first. Everything I have is meant to welcome her arrival. Even my own child exists for that reason, so I cannot bring myself to treat her kindly without any resentment. To maintain such clear boundaries between right and wrong in this life already consumes great effort. The palace corridor stretched on. Shen Bao walked merrily with her hands behind her back. Sister, isn't my dye great? It was given to me by some brothers out in the world. I promise it won't fade for 3 full days. I pinched her nose. Your bunch of shady friends finally turned out to be of some use. She chewed on a blade of grass, yet couldn't resist asking me, still, sister, what's so bad about becoming empress? You could make anyone kneel whenever you want. How wonderful would that be? I let out a self-mocking laugh. Being someone's descendant after all, one's glory is tied to others. How can one act willfully and recklessly? Shen Bao let out a confused "oh," not quite understanding. She then reached out and touched the ink stain I had made, as if sharing a sisterly telepathic connection. Hey, big sister, the reason you went to all that trouble to fail the selection, is it because someone's already living in your heart? I paused. Only after enduring a lifetime of frost did I finally smile with ease. Yes, my heart belongs to someone, unchanged even by death. Behind the bamboo, someone stood expressionless. The flower branch in their hand abruptly snapped. 07. I turned my head, struck by a sudden feeling among the swaying bamboo shadows. I couldn't make out who it was. Back at the Shen residence, father had warmed a pot of wine and began celebrating with great cheer. It's good that I wasn't selected. It's good. The 3 of us, father and daughters, can still have dinner together intact. Father held a minor post as a book editor at the Hanlin Academy, and his lifelong wish was for the 2 daughters left by his late wife to live smoothly into old age. Unfortunately, in the previous life, the younger daughter he had cherished all her life was thrown into a mass grave as a rebellious subject. Before reaching the age of knowing one's destiny, my coffin had already been carried out of the palace. Gazing at my family, now safe and sound, I sniffled, my heart aching. For the first time ever, I poured myself a cup of wine and drank countless rounds with father. By the end, father was taken aback, quickly sending Bear to take me outside to clear my head with the fresh air. Elder sister, let's go back and rest now. Where are you heading off to? In a daze, I ran over to a pond. This is running water, brought in from outside. Father once said that the source of this water can reach all the way beyond the border pass. After lighting I don't know how many peace lanterns, I finally burst into hearty laughter. In this life, may I, my family, and him all have smoothness and freedom from worry, but fate is unpredictable. Those blows that cannot kill me keep trying to strike me down. A few days later, at the spring banquet outing, for reasons unknown, the Empress invited me to come along. I was extremely distressed and redrew that birthmark. Zhao Heng sat at the head table, staring at me with an unreadable expression. The birthmark on Miss Shun seems somewhat darker than a few days ago. I bit my lip. Even the slight variation in pressure when writing didn't escape him, whether in his past life or this one. Zhao Heng was extremely meticulous in the early days of his rise to power in his previous life. When the political situation was unstable, someone tried to assassinate me several times to distract him, yet no one ever discovered the whereabouts of his true love. Good girl, come here. I have some excellent medicinal plaster here. Try it quickly to see if it can remove the birthmark. The Empress waved at me, winking and whispering in a hushed tone. These were all gathered by the Crown Prince. I suppose he's taken quite an interest in you ever since that night. I scoffed, sarcastically curling my lips, utterly unconvinced as the bottle cap was popped open. A pungent, suffocating smell burst forth. It smells a bit like a potion stripped of its makeup, or like some exotic trinket Bauer once fiddled with. Miss Shun, why not try it at once to see if it works? Don't let my thoughtfulness go to waste. Zhao Heng curled his lips meaningfully. It was clear he didn't believe it was a birthmark. I've squeezed the medicine bottle. My back was suddenly soaked with sweat. But if I could live my life again, I'd never be a pawn in others' hands. 08 I took a deep breath, about to speak, when suddenly a commotion came from outside the door. A guard entered and announced, "Princess, the second daughter of the Zhu family has had an accident." Zhao Heng's expression changed instantly. It was an expression he would only show when truly pained. In my previous life, I had seen it a few times, yet it had lasted only for a fleeting moment. Zhao Heng took a step forward, about to leave, but then turned back. "Mother, don't forget what I've asked of you." Without a word, she turned and walked away. Ridiculous, simply unacceptable. The Empress rubbed her temple in pain, and surprisingly confided in me. "If I must choose between the two, Lady Shun, I would prefer you. After all, a beautiful jade with minor flaws is still better than poor quality stone that's hard to shape. As for your birthmark, there's always a way to remove it. Why not follow the prince's suggestion and appoint you as a secondary?" Before she could finish speaking, I grasped her wrist. The Empress was astonished by my boldness. I frowned in deep thought. "Your Majesty, observing your countenance, I can see that you are physically weak, have poor appetite, and most likely suffer from a spleen disorder." The Empress was startled, then glared at me with some irritation. I quickly lowered my head. "If you do not believe me, you are welcome to summon the imperial physician for an examination." She hesitated, her breath unsteady. "If this is fake, I shall punish you." It couldn't possibly be fake after all. In her previous life, the Empress had passed away. Before Zhao Heng ascended the throne before her death, she was so ill that even rice porridge could not be fed into her mouth. Once a plump and radiant noble lady, she had wasted away into a shriveled, skeletal corpse. Several noodle-like worms crawled out from the lower part of her body, terrifying all the palace servants. She should have been surrounded by children and grandchildren seeing her off in her final moments. Yet Zhao Heng declared that I, being a person of blessed fortune, was the only one permitted to attend to her. I closed my eyes. She presented the pills she had long gathered. "These were gifted to your sister by a close friend from the martial world, crafted by Fenglin Pavilion, guaranteed to cure the illness." Upon hearing this peerless name, the Empress's expression softened. "You went to all this trouble to please me. What favor do you seek in return? Could it be that you have your eye on the position of the primary consort?" I knelt down respectfully, enunciating each word clearly. "Milady, I have long since set my heart on someone else. I beg you, grant me a marriage certificate to carry with me, so I may add the name of joy upon joy." 09 When I stepped out of the pavilion, I let out a deep breath, feeling relieved. Suddenly, a commotion came from the distant pond. A group of noble women were gathered around, teasing and mocking the person struggling in the center. Having witnessed too many lives fade away before my eyes, my heart clenched. Almost instinctively, I splashed into the pond and jumped in to save the person. "Help me, Wait a minute, this girl's voice sounded somewhat familiar. Realizing that he had grabbed Zhu Jiqing, I furrowed my brow and let go in annoyance. Seeing this, someone suddenly cried out, "Bad news, they're both nearly dead. Hurry and save them, don't go too far." Another splash, a figure in bright yellow swam toward me and wrapped their arms around my waist. I'm an excellent swimmer. I fiercely kicked Zhao Heng in the side of his waist, sending him toward Zhu Jiqing. Why save me? Go save the one you truly love. Let everyone know that the one in your heart is her. Zhao Heng, stop hiding it anymore. Zhu Jiqing and I were pulled up one after another. The attendants quickly dispersed the onlookers. It turned out that they had deliberately been disciplining the woman with the face of a nation-bringer of disaster, all to win Zhao Heng's favor. After Zhao Heng arrived, he refrained from immediately coming to her rescue to avoid suspicion. Miss Shen, thank you. Among so many powerful and noble people here, you are the only one willing to help me. Zhu Jiqing sobbed. She was extremely fair-skinned, with a sharp, slender chin. Indeed, she had the very look of the femme fatale spoken of in storybooks, one who brings ruin to nations. But when she spoke, her voice was like that of an innocent, otherworldly spirit from the mountains, untouched by worldly affairs. I silently pulled my hand back. Zhao Heng was thoroughly satisfied. You've actually taken the initiative to save Jiqing, so kind-hearted. You'll surely get along well with her in the Eastern Palace in the future. I suppressed the disgust surging within me. Your Highness, the Empress has already agreed and permitted me not to enter the Eastern Palace. Zhao Heng's eyebrows twitched slightly, his eyes darkening. The concubines of the prince are decided by me. This entire world will be mine. How could a mere insignificant you be any different? I stand up, pushing aside the wet hair in front of his forehead. He let out a sarcastic laugh. Yes, Your Highness, blessed with all the world has to offer, yet afraid to reveal the one you truly love. Forgive me, but I only feel that Your Highness is weak. Zhu Jiqing suddenly looked up, her eyes glossy and fixed on me. I braced myself for Zhao Heng's furious outburst. It would be best if it got really loud, so everyone could see how poorly we've always gotten along. But instead, he let out a sudden low laugh. You've gotten bold, daring to talk back to me. Morning Glory, you've really gone too far. Dusk was gradually settling in, and I squinted my eyes. Zhao Heng in front of him did not carry the atmosphere one would expect from a youth. Instead, there was cold composure and emotional detachment, the look of one who has weathered the passage of time. I let out a chuckle, understanding all too well. Your destined one is not me, Your Highness. The sky darkened completely. The soaked clothes clung to the body, and with the cool breeze, the chill made one feel dazed. Zhao Heng's face suddenly darkened, and he abruptly grabbed me. His thin lips curled into a strange arc. So what? Having you as my fated wife is enough. He came closer step by step. My wife, Morning Glory, tell me, who is the person in your heart? Is it Jiyu Yanqing? 10. I looked calmly directly at him, touching the marriage certificate in my sleeve. I was about to speak. Just then, a young man on a fast horse with a silver saddle came riding from afar, carrying flowers. Asagao, there you are. I suddenly turned my head, and when our eyes met, I nearly burst into tears. In my previous life, after my younger sister died, I fell seriously ill. Outside the hall, wind and rain pattered as someone tried to force their way in. A great crowd of people knelt all over the ground. Minister Ji, are you trying to steal my crown prince's consort? In a daze, I heard a voice so familiar that my nose suddenly ached with longing. Your Highness, if it weren't for my delayed return that day, the crown prince's consort should have been my wife. So it's Minister Jiyu Yanqing who has returned. Zhao Heng lifted his eyelids, his face darkening to the extreme. My dear subject, do you know what you are saying? Your servant has not made a single joke with Your Highness since the age of 14. From behind the closed door came the clang of a blade. My consciousness was hazy. Only then did I realize why Shen Bao was the one who came on the day the bone whistle sounded. Her heart was burdened with guilt. And only as she grew older did she understand that back then I had deliberately stained ink on the painting, just to wait for Jiyu Yanqing to return from beyond the frontier. Knowing she had ruined things, she didn't want Jiyu Yanqing to risk entering the palace. Instead, she hoped to rescue me and Liren herself, to make up for the regrets of her younger days. But unfortunately, Things never go as planned. She couldn't take me out of the palace. Jiyu Yanqing couldn't either. Zhao Heng didn't kill him, but instead exiled him to guard the frontier, forbidden to return to court for the rest of his life. On the day he left, I caught a distant glimpse from the city wall. War banners fluttered in the wind, yet at the end of the solemn procession followed a nursemaid, holding a beautiful baby in her arms. My Liren, oh, she will grow up freely beyond the frontier, separated by thousands of miles. No one will ever discover anything again. Everything has faded away with the fading sound of horse hooves. Later, everyone attributed my illness to Liren's death. The empress was furious, convinced that Zhu Jiqing was a malevolent spirit bringing disaster to the nation, and ordered the execution of her and her child. Zhao Heng was about to ascend the throne, but Liren died. To quell the rumors outside, he did not stop the empress from strangling Zhu Jiqing. After all, exchanging a beautiful woman for peace and prosperity throughout the land, why wouldn't one gladly do so at that time? I had no more attachments. I merely clung to life, determined to outlive Zhao Heng and witness his death with my own eyes. Unfortunately, after giving birth that year and catching a chill in the rain, I ultimately damaged my constitution irreparably. In the 8th year of becoming the empress, I am near my end. Zhao Heng sat before me, picked up his brush, and wrote, though she is the wife destined for me, she is not the one in my heart. When 100 years have passed, the only one who can be buried with me is her alone. I'm hanging on to my last breath. Only when I hear the war drums and banners outside the hall do I finally smile. Your Highness, there's no need to wait 100 years. It can be done now. 11 in this life. Jiyu Yanqing returned earlier than he did in his previous life. He dismounted, pulling me tightly into his arms. Only then did he burst into laughter, a smile so radiant that spring blossoms and autumn moonlight paled in comparison. Chaoyang, what have you smeared on your face? I blinked away the tears, only then realizing how awkward this reunion in this lifetime had turned out. Nothing much, it'll wash off when we get back. A suddenly deep voice came from beside me. Chen Zhaoyang, you truly are deceiving me. As I suspected, I stared back at him unflinchingly. Since we're both solitary spirits who fled back from the previous life, why bother pretending anymore? I already have a fiancé. Please think carefully before speaking. Prince, Chen Chaoyang, you truly have surprised me. Zhao Heng glared at Jiyu Yanqing. I thought it was just his one-sided infatuation. I gave a faint smile, each word clear. It was love at first sight, mutual affection, and nothing, neither life nor death, will change it. Zhao Heng clapped his hands lightly, a few sinister laughs out from his throat. Good, very good. He had always been calm and composed. After all, he was the crown prince. Once he ascended the throne, everything would be under his control. But now, with a second chance at life, how could things possibly be the same as before? When Jiyu Yanqing escorted me back to the mansion, Shen Bao ran off screaming to fetch her father. I covered my face in embarrassment. Please excuse my younger sister's lively nature. Jiyu Yanqing pulled my hand away, brushing the falling pear blossoms from my head. I know, Chaoyang. I gazed up dazedly, my eyes stinging with renewed moisture. I don't know how he entrusted her in that life, or how he mourned endlessly for that relentless rain when they met. How did you come back so quickly? Are you injured? I turned him around to have a look. Shen Bao poked her head out from the house, winking and snickering. I heard that young General Jiyu ran 5 horses to death just to barely catch the spring day excursion. He was terrified that his sister might get engaged to someone else and no longer want him. Jiyu Yanqing's ears turned red. Again and again he gripped my hand tighter and tighter. We promised to return when the pear blossoms bloom. If I break my word again, heaven will punish me for the rest of my life by never letting me speak to you. Yes, in a past life, before he set off on his campaign, we said goodbye by the riverbank, making a promise that when the next spring breeze stirred the branches, we would meet again. But we never knew that this would be our final farewell in this lifetime. Thankfully, there is still a next life. After so many years apart, we still look just as we did back then. 12 in the evening, Father invited him to stay for dinner. I rested my chin on my hand, sitting beside him, unable to ever get enough of looking at him. Father sat beside me, sighing and murmuring quietly, staring at Jiyu Yanqing again and again. She was utterly satisfied. They settled on an auspicious date right then and there. Zhao Heng didn't know how deeply we cared for each other. He acted with such haste. He knelt outside the grand hall, pleading all the way to the emperor's throne. The Jiyu family has always been loyal and brave. Of all the wives in the world, why do you have to target a member of the Jiyu family? If you really dare to steal, then you don't have to stay in the Eastern Palace anymore. The emperor was so enraged that he began cursing profusely and entertained the thought of deposing him, but he cherished his first wife deeply and wished to pass the throne only to their child. Zhao Heng knew this, so he felt emboldened and unafraid. As for the Jiyu family, generations had served in the military. By the time Jiyu Yanqing came along, he was the only one left in the entire household. That was why Jiyu Yanqing stayed by his front gate all day, deathly afraid that someone might try to steal his wife. Even when I entered the palace to deliver medicine to the empress, he would cling to the palace gate, waiting for me. If something happens, just blow the bone whistle, I'll be right outside the door. His intuition proved correct. When Zhao Heng learned I had entered the palace, he intercepted me along the main path. Chao Yang, you have a ruthless heart. You are the one who bears the visage of an empress, the destined wife of the crown prince. How dare you secretly marry another? I took a half step back without showing any emotion, letting out a cold laugh. The crown prince should go seek his destined one. It's inappropriate to pursue a minister's wife. When you enter the Eastern Palace, I'll find a way to take care of her. But you, he merely wished to retrace the path of his previous life. I furrowed my brow tightly, unable to restrain myself from speaking out. Your Highness, there's no need to use me as an excuse anymore. If you truly wish to protect Miss you shouldn't allow her to be slandered as a cursed face that brings ruin to the nation, nor should you stand by coldly while she is bullied. Do not tread the same path as the past. Most likely recalling his past life, Zhao Heng's eyelashes flickered slightly. Before he could say anything further, the Empress's angry voice erupted. Behind him, monster, I deliberately left something behind in the Empress's quarters. The palace attendants rushed back to report, and thus arrived late. Hearing his rebellious words, the Empress clutched her chest and fainted from anger. Now they no longer paid any attention to me. The attendants panicked and scrambled about in distress. I took advantage of the chaos to slip out of the palace. Jiyu Yanqing was climbing over the wall when I reached out and pulled him back. Seeing it was me, he raised his eyebrows with delight. Zhao Yang, I've been worried sick since you didn't come out. That's why I came to check on you. Has the prince been bothering you? I looked at him, lifting my lips slightly, and deliberately said yes. Jiyu Yanqing tightened his lips, drawing his sword with a sharp clang. Chao Yang, I can't wait any longer. I pressed his sword back down. In the past life, we waited so long. What's another moment or two? Besides, I was just joking. Didn't get the worst of it. I smiled. Tugging at him, his ears turned red again and again as Jiyu Yanqing's wedding drew near. Good news also spread from the palace. The Empress was with child 13. She was in her prime, with her health restored and solely favored by the Emperor. Becoming pregnant was hardly surprising. The state preceptor calculated using his fingers and declared that the imperial star was shining brightly. This child would surely be an heir to the throne. The Emperor, who had finally acquired an heir in his later years, was overjoyed, repeatedly exclaiming how wonderful it was. Zhao Heng finally sensed something was amiss. He devoted himself wholeheartedly to state affairs, attempting to salvage his reputation. But when spring arrived, during a leisurely outing, he rescued Zhu Jiqing from the water, and everyone found out. Now the crown prince was known to favor a woman with the face of a nation-ruining beauty. Now, with the emperor stealing his minister's wife and the scandal spreading everywhere, the court was abuzz with rumors and speculation. I volunteered to enter the palace to oversee the empress's meals, and indeed discovered some extremely subtle poison this time. The emperor was truly furious. Zhao Heng was banished back to his fief, utterly humiliated. Before leaving, he cast one last lingering glance at me, his lips lightly brushed against my ear. My wife, you truly make me see you in a new light. I lowered my head very, very slowly. I curved my lips into a faint smile. I'll need to give Shen bow a good reward when I get back. She always manages to find the most peculiar and interesting things. When leaving Cheonghua Palace, a figure stood in the distance. As if waiting for me for a long time, the national preceptor lifted her veil, revealing an unexpectedly delicate face. She nodded at me, her eyes lingering on my face for a moment, then said, "Miss Shen, destined events cannot be changed." I nodded in understanding and returned a courteous bow, expressing my gratitude. The national preceptor spoke truly. Though many things change, the established course remains unaltered. Several months later, the empress died in childbirth at just 34 years old. Even the sundial had stopped at the same place as in the previous life. The emperor, overwhelmed with grief, left an edict and, just as in the previous life, followed the empress. 3 months after her death, on the day of national mourning, a storm was brewing, and the sky was so heavy it seemed about to fall. I narrowed my eyes and said to Jiyu Yanqing, "The sky is going to change." 14. I sat quietly in Cheonghua Palace, cradling young Lord. Jiyu Yanqing drew his sword and stood guard at the palace gate. The ringing of swords gradually rose, blood seeping slowly through the crack under the door. Zhao Heng returned from his fief with bloodshed, and after several days of battle, he was defeated. In my previous life, I had never been able to witness his fall from the pinnacle of humanity. Now, at last, I can truly see it. Inside the prison, Zhao Heng's hair was disheveled, his expression dark and gloomy. Once lifelong partners, how did we end up like this? I smiled faintly without showing any emotion. "No, it's you who ended up like this." Zhao Heng sat down heavily on the ground. Suddenly he burst into laughter, the sound horrific and agonizing, then abruptly cut off as a single tear rolled down his cheek. He said, "In my previous life, I intended to bury you in the imperial mausoleum after your death, but I never made it. Your corpse was taken away by that traitorous villain, Jiyu Yanqing." I lowered my gaze. I only felt relief. If I were to die and still share the same tomb with him, that would be unbearable. "Why, are you happy?" I was genuinely happy, my voice inevitably rising. Neither in my past life nor this one did I ever wish to enter the palace, to be able to rest peacefully after death. This is truly good enough. "Is that so?" Zhao Heng sighed deeply, squinting his eyes. "Shen Chaoyang, I want to know, did you ever love me? Does that even matter?" In my previous life, when I resigned myself to entering the palace, I had held some expectations. During my 8 years as empress, I never once slackened in the slightest, yet after his death, he was unwilling to grant me even a favorable reputation. I thought for a moment, then smiled cruelly. "Your Highness, you will not like my answer." 15. I did not kill him. In the name of the young ruler's benevolence, I imprisoned him within the stone tower. Then I told him that on a certain afternoon 8 years later, I would personally send him to his fate. After all, in my previous life I endured 8 years of agony in the secondary consort position. After coming out, a figure shyly hid behind the stone door, hesitating to approach. I turned around, weary, and said, "Miss Ju, if you wish to see him one last time, hurry up and go, else you'll miss your chance." Ju Jiqing shook her head and handed me a handkerchief. "Miss Shen, here's this for you." I was surprised. "What's this for?" She blushed modestly. "On that day, only you jumped into the water to save me, so I want to exchange handkerchiefs with you." I lowered my eyes slightly and said, "I came out in a hurry today, so I didn't bring a handkerchief." A blatantly obvious refusal. Ju Jiqing understood, her eyes reddening slightly. "Miss Shen, are you detesting me because of His Highness the Crown Prince? I don't like him anymore, and my older brother said that as long as I don't marry Zhao Heng, I'm not a woman destined to bring ruin to the country. So, could you please stop looking down on me?" In her previous life, she met a miserable end. If given the chance to start over, she would probably make the same choice. For her, it might be better not to wake up thinking of this. I said calmly, "Not, Miss Tuesday. There are many things I cannot explain, and you don't need to know them either." With that, I bowed. "May we cherish this life." She blindly imitated me, saying, "Okay, then you, take care." After dealing with everything, I looked up. The familiar young man was waiting for me under the pear tree. The sun was just right, its golden light glowing in his eyes, standing beside the chestnut horse with hands clasped behind his back, slowly turning to look at me. Have you collected all the debts? I collapsed wearily into his arms, a vibrant heartbeat vibrated through his chest. I thought to myself, does emotional debt count as debt? Jiyu Yanqing instantly became flustered, a blush spreading from his ears all the way down his neck. So fun, I think. Following the late emperor's last will, Jiyu Yanqing supported the young emperor's ascension to the throne, quickly gaining immense power and influence. 5 years later, the young emperor, having grown wise and discerning, honored Jiyu Yanqing as his regent father and me as his mother. After years of seclusion, the national preceptor emerged from his retreat and, upon seeing me, smiled and said, "Your countenance is not that of an empress, but that of a national mother." This remark was recorded in the historical texts, and my virtuous name was celebrated for 1,000 years. I listened, and actually thought it wasn't bad. After Jiyu Yanqing finished admonishing the young emperor, he leaned against my shoulder and softly called out "Ching-ching" while rubbing his chest. Outside, the sky was clear and bright, the land was at peace, and my beloved was by my side. May this life be free of regrets, and may we surely meet again, old friends. Now begins the second story. On the day of the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, young General Ju declined the marriage proposal made to me. "Miss Shen is indeed a fine lady, but Your Honor, I have already entrusted my heart to another." Miss Lin across from me, upon hearing this, smiled warmly. Suddenly, lines of text appeared before my eyes. "Congratulations, main female protagonist. You've overcome the shadows of your past life." Ju, the young general from your past life, was faithfully devoted to Miss Shen, sharing one lifetime and one heart, a truly wonderful person. This time the heroine accidentally meets Xinxing earlier. There's no story about Miss Shen at all. Ju Jingxing indeed petitioned the Empress Dowager to marry the Lin family's daughter. What about Miss Shen then? It's so sad to be rejected in marriage, what's there to worry about? The heroine has already left a letter for the Crown Prince, revealing that it was Miss Shen who saved him. The Crown Prince will soon come calling to propose. Miss Shen certainly took on the fate of the female lead in her previous life. Fate? I don't believe in fate, I only believe in making things happen through our own efforts. 01. After the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, the marriage between young General Ju and Lin Wanqing was finally settled. Everyone envied this match of gold and jade. General Ju is handsome and dignified, and has just earned military honors. He's truly an excellent husband. This fine husband should have been destined for Miss Shen. So why did Miss Lin from the Lin family end up with him? Compared in appearance and family background, doesn't Miss Shen surpass her in every way? Amidst the murmurs, I occasionally received sympathetic glances. Perhaps Ju Jingxing truly is an excellent husband, yet, missing him doesn't feel like a loss at all. Life is lived by oneself. How can I be sure that my good fortune in a past life wasn't due to my own efforts? My parents have nurtured me all this time. I have both the means and the ability. I believe no matter whom I marry, I can still live a good life. After all, he's just a husband, better to let him go. Not long after, I learned from them the reason why Ju Jingxing admired Lin Wanqing. It turns out Lin Wanqing bowed before the temple 3 times, and each time coincided with Ju Jingxing. The elder lady of the Ju family was a devout woman who observed vegetarianism and recited Buddha's name. Lin Wanqing and Ju Jingxing have such a fateful connection. She will certainly do her best to bring them together. Back and forth like this, the two gradually fell deeply in love. Our heroine is so clever, she remembers the exact timing when Ju Jingxing used to offer prayers for the elder lady of the Ju family in her previous life. With the elder lady's favor now secured, who could fear Ju Jingxing won't request to marry her? After all, Ju Jingxing was raised by the elder lady herself. The female lead from her previous life was bullied in the Eastern Palace and died in sorrow. That dog prince constantly claimed he loved her the most, yet he couldn't protect her. Well then, in this life, the female lead chose a different husband for herself. Probably within a few days, the prince will come to the Shen family to propose. Once the dog prince marries Miss Shen, and then finds out the one who saved him was actually the female lead, it'll be too late to regret. That's right. By then, Miss Shen would already be the crown prince's consort, and our heroine would already be Madame Ju. Can't wait for the Heartbreak Fire Cemetery. Crown prince's consort. Interesting. 02 3 days later, The crown prince formally paid a visit to propose marriage. The wedding gifts were spread across 10 streets, providing ample dignity and honor. Dude, why is the crown prince throwing such a massive ceremony for Miss Shun? That's because the Shun family has always been a prominent and noble clan. The handwriting even shows jealousy over the crown prince's generous betrothal gifts. What does that mean? Look down on our female lead, wow, for Miss Shun, it's a grand dowry procession stretching for miles. I looked into it, and the Shun family is way more powerful than the Lin family. It's appropriate for the crown prince to give such a lavish dowry. Shun Qingyao's father is the current prime minister, and all her brothers hold official positions in the court, with the lowest rank being 6th degree. Her father is already the prime minister. Yet he didn't arrange for his daughter to marry into the royal family, no desire to set the family on fire with even greater glory, so he politely declined with a faint smile. Thank you, Prince, for your kind intentions, but my daughter is talentless and lacks virtue. At the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, she was rejected by Junior General Ju, which caused a great deal of embarrassment. I had originally planned to take in a son-in-law to live in our household and serve us, however. Prince Xiao Mingyuan remained resolutely determined in his pursuit of marriage. I've heard about what happened at the banquet. There's no need for the Chancellor to be troubled. General Ju has already fallen for someone else. It has nothing to do with Miss Shun. Besides, regarding Miss Shun, Xiao Mingyuan smiled. In short, I am willing to honor Miss Shun with the ceremony of a principal consort and bring her into the Eastern Palace. Why does she get to be the principal consort just by arriving? Back then, Xiao Mingyuan had only asked to take the heroine as his secondary consort, which made the heroine furious at the time. Exactly, how could anyone be forced to become a concubine? Even though the Lin family wasn't particularly outstanding, Shun Qingyao should definitely kneel before our heroine and immediately give up her position as crown prince's consort. Her father hesitated uncertainly. After all, the position of crown prince's consort is one of uncertain fortune. Xiao Mingyuan bowed deeply to his father. I humbly request that you grant me your daughter in marriage. His father quickly reached out to him up. Absolutely not, Your Highness. How can you bow to a subject, what on earth is Xiao Mingyuan thinking? When he married our female lead, her father was bowing and scraping to him, yet now it's Shun Qingyao who's on her knees before him. He's the one begging now, TSK, TSK, TSK. Just wait and see when he regrets this, when he finds out the female lead is the one who saved him. He'll beg on his knees, but it'll be too late to make it right. Xiao Mingyuan's respectful attitude was because my father held the highest rank in the government, but the reason he asked for my hand in marriage was indeed out of gratitude for Lin Wanqing's life-saving act. I've always disliked living under someone else's name, so, across the screen, I gently said, Father, may I have a brief word with the crown prince? Father knew I was certainly not someone frivolous. There must be a reason for this. Please pardon the crown prince. My daughter has always been independent in her judgments. Xiao Mingyuan did not refuse. I was just about to thank Miss Shun. After my father left, I confessed frankly, that day, it wasn't me who saved the prince. From the handwriting, I learned that the prince had been shot by a stray arrow during a secret visit to Bing Prefecture on his return to the capital. It was Lin Wanqing who bandaged him and left a note. The female lead is truly kind-hearted. Even though she doesn't want to marry him again after her rebirth, she can't bear to see Xiao Mingyuan die, don't tell him. Darling female lead has carefully planned everything. She's given you the chance to save his life, oh no, now the female lead's marriage prospects are ruined. But Xiao Mingyuan only gave a slight nod. Yeah, I know it wasn't you. 03, I was somewhat surprised, Xiao Mingyuan explained. Miss Shun comes from an aristocratic family. She always has servants accompanying her whenever she travels. How could she possibly tend to a stranger's wounds herself? Indeed, fools simply cannot remain on the throne of crown prince for long. I had underestimated Xiao Mingyuan all along. Xiao Mingyuan's tone carried a faint sense of melancholy. Though I don't know why she concealed her name and transferred the credit to Miss Shun. I'll just honor her wish, honoring her wish, but I'm unwilling to risk having her reputation tarnished by marrying into the crown prince's residence. This Shen Qingyao actually has some backbone. At the birthday banquet that day, she seemed quite composed, refused in public and still didn't flinch. Composed? Please, I think she's just out of options. Exactly. Wants it both ways. What's she trying to prove? You're right. I must marry into the Crown Prince's residence. But I must also make it clear that I have no connection with Lin Wanqing. If the Crown Prince truly seeks my hand in marriage, Qingyao is willing to wed. But if there is another reason behind this, I ask the Crown Prince to withdraw the bridal gifts. That concludes what I have to say. My father came in at the right moment and said with a smile, "See, I told you my daughter is independent-minded. Your Highness, please reconsider." Having cleared up the misunderstanding, I quietly returned to my courtyard through the small door. According to my father, Xiao Mingyuan drank 3 cups of tea and then left. He didn't say whether he would marry or not when leaving. Only the marriage gifts remained in our mansion. Mother didn't care about those gifts, just casually piled them in the courtyard. "The day you marry, the dowry I prepare for you will be just this amount. The Shen family is prestigious, and my maternal family is no less so. No matter whom I marry, my life will surely be carefree." In the end, Xiao Mingyuan's feelings were conveyed through the imperial decree. The eunuch in charge of the palace personally delivered the imperial decree. Miss Shen, daughter of Prime Minister Shen, is graceful and dignified, with speech and manner befitting a noble lady. She is an exemplary noblewoman. She is hereby specially designated as the official consort of the Crown Prince, to carry the great responsibility of the ancestral temple. In an instant, the gate of the Shen family was nearly crushed under the weight of visitors. They had all come to offer their congratulations. Back then, the ladies who once pitied me at banquets have all changed their tune. This is truly a match of gold and jade. I heard the Crown Prince himself personally delivered the bridal gifts, and even went to the palace to request an imperial decree. Miss Shen, you're truly lucky. Though you no longer have the General Ju chosen by the Empress Dowager, you now have the Crown Prince's position bestowed by the Emperor himself. They all smiled and congratulated me, almost wishing to become close friends with me. The future Empress. Only Lin Wanqing sat quietly aside, saying calmly, "The position of Crown Princess is like drinking water. Its temperature is known only to the drinker. It's not necessarily as good as it seems." 04. She's still happily grinning like an idiot. Doesn't she know the Imperial Crown Prince's inner court isn't a peaceful place? Xiao Mingyuan already has 2 secondary consorts. They're both beautiful and come from excellent families. Who knows how things will turn out for her once she's in there? Poor our beloved heroine, she'll get bullied by 2 concubines after marrying into the family. And the Crown Prince won't even lend a hand, always buried in memorials all day long. The secondary consort of Xiao Mingyuan. I've already sent someone to investigate. One is the eldest daughter of General Liehu, said to have a fiery temper and quite bold. The other is the youngest daughter of the Grand Tutor's family, exceptionally skilled in literature, though spoiled by indulgence. What's so scary about it? The legitimate wife remains the legitimate wife. No one else has the right to usurp her position. Thank you, Miss Lin, for your reminder. I'll certainly take good care. I don't care about Lin Wanqing's words, but others do. Oh, stealing someone else's wedding and still so smug. Miss Shen is destined to be the future Crown Princess. Do you really need to remind her to cherish herself? If I were her, I wouldn't even feel comfortable coming today. Lin Wanqing was both shy and angry. At that moment, Zhu Jingxing walked over. "Good day, ladies. I should not have intruded without invitation, but Wanqing is my fiancé, as yet unclaimed by marriage." The young ladies named by Zhu Jingxing all turned red-faced. This was a clear warning to them not to bully Lin Wanqing. I looked up and met Zhu Jingxing's gaze. He hesitated for a moment, then bowed slightly to me. On that day, I was in the wrong. I asked Miss Shen not to hold any grudge against Wanqing. He was defending Lin Wanqing, recalling those words, how I was meant to be his beloved wife for a lifetime. Now, seeing him defend someone else, I felt an indescribable emptiness. But the past life is the past life, and the present life is the present life. In my previous life, I lived a smooth and prosperous existence. Naturally, in this life, I have the ability to thrive just as brilliantly. How could that be? It's destiny between General Ju and Miss Lin. General Zhu Jingxing's words silenced any further criticism of Lin Wanqing in the pavilion, but it also left Lin Wanqing completely isolated when girls talk among themselves. A few squabbles are normal, and Lin Wanqing could have simply talked her way out of it, but then Zhu Jingxing had to chime in after that. Who would dare speak to her again if I said something wrong and then got teased by some outsider? I'd be utterly humiliated. But baby girl doesn't need to bother with these people exactly. From now on, we'll each marry our own, and who even cares about whom? Zhu Jinghang is really great, coming over here specifically to protect his wife. These women have such nasty mouths. What's it got to do with them? Always talking. Lin Wanqing leaned against the railing, as if she had written herself out, saying nothing more. I looked around at the chatting young ladies, exchanging a few playful remarks with them now and then. After all, these are all going to be the wives of future dukes, ministers, and nobles. Even if there are those who won't marry, they themselves come from outstanding families. Should Lin Wanqing really be ignored? 05 Zhu Jingxing and Lin Wanqing's engagement came before mine. The Empress Dowager arranged a marriage, and high-ranking officials and nobles flocked to offer their congratulations. Many young ladies were absent from the women's guest seating. Among those who did come, their enthusiasm was notably lacking. They were all troubled by the fact that Zhu Jinghang had stood up for Lin Wanqing. We've become the villains, didn't she say? Miss Shen first, the lady who had remained silent until then, also curled her lips. I'll just see how happy they'll be in the future. I stood up and gave a slight bow. Talking about it, all of you sisters spoke up for me back then. Qingyao sincerely thanks you. They quickly rose and returned my bow. The most indignant one among them, the minister's daughter, gently took my hand and said warmly, "You're giving gifts and bowing so politely. We're just having a casual chat. There's no need for such formalities." Everyone else also laughed. Yeah, we're all sisters in the same family. That evening, after the banquet ended, I sent gifts to all the sisters in the pavilion as a token of my apology. The conversation resumed with laughter and chatter, and no one mentioned that day again. Music began to play. The new couple had arrived. We all went to witness the ceremony. Peering through the screen from afar, the bride's red wedding dress shimmered faintly. Old Madame Zhu sat at the head of the table, smiling with the greatest delight. Now that Jinger has married, my heart is at ease. My greatest wish is for the Zhu family to have descendants. The handwriting appeared again. The pressure to have children is so obvious. It's fine. I remember in her previous life, Miss Shen gave Zhu Jingxing a son and a daughter, and that was 5 years later. Our heroine doesn't need to rush. It's okay if she doesn't have kids right now. After all, Zhu Jingxing will protect her. Finally together at last. Now I can rest easy. I think Zhu Jingxing would be much happier marrying the main female lead than he was marrying Miss Shen. After all, their marriage last lifetime was arranged with no prior acquaintance. Of course, the main female lead is the most charming. I stared at the handwriting, a hint of doubt rising in my heart. Why didn't I give birth until 5 years later? In a prominent family, having offspring is of utmost importance. Unless there was a special reason, I would never allow such a long gap between bearing children. After returning home, I asked my mother to arrange a female physician for me. I dismissed the servants around me and consulted the doctor alone. The female doctor, after taking my pulse, only said that my body was healthy and there was nothing seriously wrong. I cautiously asked, "Is my body unsuitable for pregnancy?" The female doctor was terrified and quickly knelt down, denying it desperately. Absolutely not true. I helped her stand up and handed her a lump of gold. "Thank you, doctor. I was just asking out of curiosity." Simply forget about it. Since my body was fine, the problem must be with Zhu Jingxing. But the one marrying him now is not me. 06 My wedding is approaching, and the palace has sent numerous gifts. The phoenix crown and embroidered robe were painstakingly crafted over 2 months by dozens of skilled embroiderers, exquisitely detailed. Soon everyone in the capital was envious, all praising the Shen family for producing such a noble lady. She's only the crown prince's consort. Whether she'll even survive long enough to become empress is uncertain. The crown prince doesn't even love her. What's she gaining by marrying into the palace? The back courtyard of the crown prince's residence is full of deep intrigues. At first glance, it looks blooming and picturesque, but underneath, it's like a blazing fire on oil. I had a bit of pity for Shen Qingyao at first, seeing how willingly she was marrying off. Well, no wonder she couldn't be the main female lead. Only the main female lead truly knows what real happiness is. It had long been rumored that Captain Zhu traveled everywhere with his wife, their marital bond deeply affectionate, truly something to envy. Yet more people in court criticized Zhu Jingxing for being a general who lacked ambition and showed excessive laziness, not to mention his casual interactions with colleagues at court. Even his daily military drills had become negligent, occasionally enjoying flowers or attending operas. Young ladies of the noble households would also mention them. They spoke of Zhu Jingxing riding alone for 300 li just to buy tea pastries for his wife. Some praised him as a good husband, while others criticized him as a poor general. Miss Shen, what do you think? I cannot judge how Zhu Jingxing stands, but my clan's young men who are preparing to join the military practice martial arts every day without slackening. I think the performance today was very well done. Seeing me avoid answering, the man didn't dare to ask further. From the handwriting, I learned that Zhu Jingxing was indeed a good husband. He was almost always willing to fulfill Lin Wanqing's every wish, traveling 300 li on horseback just to buy tea pastries. This was true. It's true I've been neglecting practice. Unfortunately, Zhu Jingxing had been kind to Lin Wanqing, and he cut off all contact with her before my marriage. 07 On the day of old Lady Zhu's birthday banquet, I accompanied my mother to offer our congratulations. The young servant at the gate was extremely impolite and disrespectful. Even the maids and servants in the household who normally brought tea and water had lost all sense of propriety. If I hadn't stepped aside in time, the scalding teacup would have splashed all over me. The maid knelt on the ground, begging for forgiveness over and over. Mother was angry, but since it was Lady Zhu's 60th birthday feast today, she ultimately said nothing. As for us, others were even worse. Some ladies and young misses, who were straightforward in character, delivered their gifts and left right away. Others, though forced to take a seat by submitting to the situation, wore hostile expressions on their faces. The one with the foulest expression throughout the entire birthday banquet was definitely Grandma Zhu. Next came Zhu Jingxing. It's said that this birthday banquet was arranged by Lin Wanqing. Man, is this old hag deliberately trying to humiliate our heroine? Damn, the main female lead has only been married into the household for a few months. How can she possibly get anyone in the mansion to obey her? What a rotten old man, daring to ruin his own birthday banquet like that. The main female lead is so pitiful. She finally found a husband who truly loves her, but there's still this cruel old tyrant in the household tormenting her. That shouldn't be right. Didn't old Lady Zhu really like the main female lead? Yes, Lin Wanqing's arrangement of a match at the temple really was ingenious, but ever since she entered the family, her eyes have only had one man, Zhu Jingxing. After all, every relationship in this world requires careful nurturing. Today's incident was indeed deliberately allowed by old Madame Zhu. 08 After returning home, my mother couldn't help but give me repeated warnings. Although the banquet was deliberately permitted by elder Lady Zhu, she probably didn't anticipate the scene today. I never thought the managerial skills of Lin Wanqing were so poor. I never expected that even after marrying into the Zhu family, she remained completely unaware of the family's circumstances. Thus, the Zhu family's reputation in the capital was utterly ruined. You are soon to be married. Remember, only the power you truly hold in your hands is real. I lowered my head in acknowledgement. Daughter understands. After that day, the handwriting no longer depicted the marital affection between Lin Wanqing and Zhu Jingxing. Instead, it mentioned more about the arguments within the Zhu family. Zhu Jingxing is caught between his grandmother and his wife. Truly a difficult situation. Why has the elder lady been staring at the female lead every single day this week? Exactly. She keeps making the female lead memorize this and that, forcing her to constantly serve in front of her. With so many maidens in the household, are they just eating their salaries? Not only that, she's now worrying about the female lead not being pregnant. Originally young spouses are supposed to be deeply affectionate, but now it's all ruined by that old witch. I also heard from my father that Zhu Jingxing has been visiting the military camp more frequently lately. Unfortunately, It's not because he's striving to improve, but rather to escape the arguments at home. Shen Qingyao must be secretly mocking the heroine right now. What's there to be proud of? She'll be getting married soon too. She'll experience it herself after all. Neither of the two secondary consorts in the Eastern Palace is someone to mess with. No matter how hard things get for the female lead, Zhu Jingxing has no concubines. Just wait and see. The key to happiness lies in contrast. On the day I entered the prince's mansion, my dowry was doubled again. Xiao Mingyuan gave me the greatest respect and dignity, in the red silk curtains and embroidered canopy. As my husband, he suits me perfectly. Qingyao, from this moment on, you are not only the crown prince's consort but also my wife, Xiao Mingyuan. But the next day, when the secondary consorts came to serve tea, both arrived late. Haha, I told you so. She was so proud yesterday. Why did the crown prince even add to her dowry? Because Shen Qingyao's dowry is equal to the crown prince's previous bridal gifts. The imperial family can't appear inferior in this matter. Well, I just feel the crown prince treats her with more respect than he does the princess. Respect. They're both about to get slapped in the face. A noise came from outside. The first thing to appear at the door wasn't a person, but laughter. Both Consort Qin and Consort Lu laughed wholeheartedly. Then both knelt down to greet me with respectful bows. Sister, we're late, please don't mind. The gift from my elder sister was simply too perfect. I was completely taken aback. I helped them up myself. It was my fault for sending the gift late. I can't blame my two younger sisters. As the saying goes, gifts in abundance never draw reproach. This morning, I sent grand gifts to them. 09 The gift for Lady Qin was a brush painting by Master Song of the Jin dynasty, a masterpiece now nearly impossible to obtain for any price. The gift for Lady Lu was a red-maned horse bred beyond the frontier, said to be capable of traveling 1,000 miles in a single day. Lady Lu lifted the horse, wishing she could immediately tame it. That horse is fire-tempered. I went to look at it this morning, but it wouldn't even acknowledge me. Still, it's truly a fine steed. As Lady Qin spoke of the painting, her smile grew a touch more bashful. Master Song's paintings have long been lost to time. This gift cannot be measured in mere money. I truly don't know how to thank you, elder sister. Before I got married, I had already understood the temperaments of the two of them. This gift was also given in accordance with their wishes. Our sisters need not say thanks. A fine painting requires an appreciative eye, and a noble steed must be matched with a worthy rider. I grasped both their hands and said, I've heard of the two of you before. I came into the family. Qin, your scholarship is outstanding. Lu, your grace and charm rival any man's. Though I entered the household after the two of you, I still become your elder sister. Please don't mind. Princess Qin gently took my arm, her eyes full of respect. I used to be proud and defiant, believing no one who entered as crown prince's consort would ever gain my respect. But now I see it's you, elder sister. Your reputation for talent was already well known to me even in our childhood. Lady Lu held my hand and laughed heartily. My father and brothers have achieved great fame and honor, yet I still felt uneasy being merely a secondary consort. But now that someone like you has entered, I truly feel convinced. Who said the inner palace of the Eastern Palace is treacherous and turbulent? I only feel warm and intimate here. 666. I'm seriously impressed. Pushed to the limit, Shen Qingyao would still thrive in modern times. Damn it, she comes from a great family, has high emotional intelligence, and isn't afraid to spend generously. How could she possibly lose? No way. She'd live well no matter who she married. What's so good about it? All you ever do is buy things to win people over. Gift giving can soothe emotions temporarily. There's still a long life ahead. We'll get to know each other gradually. In the early days of marriage, I actually pushed Xiao Mingyuan away. He was somewhat puzzled. Back then, when you were with the two concubines, only my share was left. I looked at the documents in the household archives, drawing line after line. Your Highness married me not just to be a wife. Managing the harem in the future will only be more complicated than managing the Eastern Palace. Within 3 days, everything in the Eastern Palace was under my control. With power and wealth at my disposal, why would I care which concubine Zhao Mingyuan visits under my governance? The consorts of the Eastern Palace lived in harmony. After I became pregnant, Consort Qin's concubine Also soon became pregnant. My restorative medicine for the pregnancy is prepared in 3 identical portions. Whatever I have, they have too. At first, Consort Chin's concubine wasn't very willing to take it, but later, she secretly consulted a physician and found out that the fetal stabilizing medicine I sent was more expensive than the one prescribed by the imperial pharmacy. Just check at the pharmacy, fetal stabilizing medicines are always prepared together, lonely within the inner palace. Shouldn't we sisters stand together, supporting each other? Besides, the children they give birth to will also have to address me as mother. Here the wind is calm and still, yet the handwriting reveals a message. Holy crap! Madame Ju has taken 4 concubines for Ju Jingxing 10. It's been a long time since I last saw this handwriting. Suddenly encountering it again is actually kind of scary. I placed my hand on my womb, treating it like reading a storybook. It turned out that Lin Wanqing had been in the household for half a year without becoming pregnant. Grandmother Ju considered her a hen that wouldn't lay eggs, so she arranged for Ju Jingxing to take a concubine. Of course, Lin Wanqing was unwilling. She married Ju Jingxing for a lifetime of loyalty and just the 2 of them. Ju Jingxing also had feelings for Lin Wanqing, but when it came to filial piety, he had to give in. My Ju family has had only 1 male heir for 8 generations. Please understand me, Wanqing. How did Ju Jingxing suddenly lose all his credibility? Holy cow, 4 concubines all at once. Even the Eastern Palace only has 2 secondary consorts. Yet Ju Jingxing suddenly has 4 concubines. A man who can't protect his wife is truly pathetic. Then how did Ju Jingxing in his past life manage to remain celibate for Shen Qingyao's sake? I couldn't make sense of the handwriting, and Lin Wanqing couldn't either. I'd have to ask my past self about this. Shortly after Ju family took in another concubine, Ju Jingxing returned to the battlefield. I heard this from Xiao Mingyuan. A small country on the frontier has invaded. Its forces are not formidable, but the terrain there is overly complex. When Ju Jingxing left, he was full of confidence and vigor. When he returned, he looked significantly worn down. The battle was won, but it wasn't Ju Jingxing who secured the victory but my Shen family's sons. Ju Jingxing, as the commanding officer, advanced too aggressively and was captured by the enemy. It was my Shen family's sons who led the vanguard to rescue him, successfully securing victory in the battle. Ju Jingxing was thus demoted as a result. Old Madame Ju searched everywhere for someone to help, but no one was willing to lend a hand. You Ju family hires people with the front of your hand but dismisses them with the back. Doesn't everyone know that? Damn it, old Madame Ju is shifting all the blame onto the female lead. How can it be entirely the female lead's fault? How can the heroine help when Ju Jingxing himself lost the fight? Not a single person in the court dared to speak up for Ju Jingxing. Instead, many seized the chance to kick him while he was down. I know who those people are. They're precisely the husbands of the young ladies Ju Jingxing specifically singled out years ago. Does he Ju Jingxing know how to protect his own wife? Do we not? In short, the Ju family was now a complete mess at that moment. Lin Wanqing handed me a visiting card. Should I bring her in? Not seen. I'll give birth in less than 2 months, and there's so much to manage in the household. What would I gain by seeing her? The female lead regrets it now. Marrying Ju Jingxing was like this all along. It would have been better to become the crown prince's concubine. Yeah, just be a loyal crown prince's fiancé, not fighting or vying for anything, and you'll naturally become empress. Shen Qingyao is too amazing. She doesn't even deign to meet the main female character. But how will the main female character tell the crown prince that she saved him? Patience. The crown prince will awaken his memories from his previous life in half a year. When the time comes, the crown prince will surely resent Shen Qingyao for taking the heroine's position. 11 In the past half year, Xiao Mingyuan has already had 2 sons and 1 daughter. I was once afraid of the awakening mentioned in the handwriting. Now that I'm holding this child in my arms, there's nothing to fear anymore. Your Highness, something's wrong. The prince has fainted. Here it comes, finally awakening her memories from her previous life. Poor heroine, she's been worn down thin by the Ju family's mistreatment. None of Ju Zhou's 4 concubines is pregnant. Could it be that Ju Jingxing himself has a problem? Old Madame Ju still refuses to believe it. So she takes in 3 more attendants for Zhu Jingxing. The prince should now regret that in his past life he didn't protect the female lead. In this life, he must make up for it properly for our female lead. What's bound to come will come. What's the rush? Send for the imperial physician. The 2 junior consorts stood outside with their children, their faces filled with concern seeing me arrive. They finally relaxed. Sister, what should we do now? Now the emperor is gravely ill, and Xiao Mingyuan is managing state affairs in his place. He's worn himself out from overwork. It's nothing serious. My father handles matters at court. Assisted by Prime Minister Qin, and the capital's military forces are under the control of General Liu, I gently tickled the children in their arms. Take good care of yourselves, you'll be doing me the greatest favor. The Eastern Palace is as solid as a fortress. The other princes can't cause any trouble. After the court physician came out, he told me to rest assured. The prince is merely overworked. There's nothing serious. Xiao Mingyuan remained unconscious for 3 days after he woke up. His first action was to call me over. Humph. The crown prince has remembered everything from his previous life, not only that, he also knows that Shen Qingyao refuses to see the female lead, so when he called Shen Qingyao over, was it to help the female lead's baby get revenge? She should be. After all, the crown prince had just received the heroine's visiting card. It feels so satisfying to confront her face to face, but Shen Qingyao didn't do anything wrong. She's almost due to give birth. Why should she meet someone like the heroine, especially at a time when the Zhu family is in disgrace? When I reached the door, I happened to run into Lin Wanqing. She had indeed grown much thinner, her eyes no longer carrying the calm serenity of before. Your Highness, the Crown Prince's consort, how have you been? She stressed the words Crown Prince's consort with great emphasis. My attendant beside me shouted angrily, "How dare you? Don't you know how to bow before the prince consort?" I waved my hand. It's fine. Let Lady Zhu go see the prince first. I couldn't tell what Xiao Mingyuan truly felt toward Lin Wanqing. Just before entering the door, Lin Wanqing murmured softly in my ear, "You're the crown prince's consort because I made it so." After saying that, she stepped inside ahead of me. Xiao Mingyuan lay on the couch, his expression complex as he looked at Lin Wanqing. The first words he spoke were, "You've also been reborn, haven't you? Otherwise, how could you have left such a note?" Lin Wanqing opened her mouth to speak, but tears came before her words. "I was just..." Xiao Mingyuan smiled and didn't blame her. Instead, he said, Thank you for not choosing me this time." 12. What does this mean? Is the prince no longer interested in the female lead? Damn it. I meant for you to slap him not the female lead's face. Help. Has the crown prince truly awakened? Or has he been brainwashed by Shen Qingyao? Not only was the handwriting stunned, but Lin Wanqing also froze in place. Xiao Mingyuan stood up and gripped my hand. "This lifetime having Qingyao as my wife is my great fortune. This is a situation I never anticipated." Lin Wanqing, however, was unwilling to accept it. "What about me? It was I who saved you. Why are you so kind to her, yet unable to be wholly devoted to me?" Xiao Mingyuan pondered for a moment, then said simply, "Wanqing, you are not fit to be the crown princess." Yet Lin Wanqing's genuine gratitude toward Xiao Mingyuan was real. "After I ascend the throne, I will bestow upon you the honor of a noble lady's title. Although Zhu Jingxing cannot regain his former position, he can be promoted to a ceremonial post. It is repayment for your 2 lives of saving me. I don't want it. I want a divorce from Zhu Jingxing. I don't want to stay in the Zhu family anymore." She looked at Xiao Mingyuan with a hint of anticipation. "This time, I don't even ask to be just being the secondary consort would be enough." Is the heroine crazy? She was the one who wanted to leave there in the first place. Now she wants to go back after leaving. I realized others weren't much better either. I think Xiao Mingyuan is right. Lin Wanqing really isn't suitable to be the crown princess. She can't even handle the Zhu family. Now that you mention it, Shen Qingyao is amazing. She's lived well in both her lives. Unbelievable. I told you not to let fools be reborn. I was starting to get annoyed with the female lead too, wasting a resurrection opportunity like that. Xiao Mingyuan refused Lin Wanqing's plea. Lin Wanqing pointed at me and demanded, "What does she have that's so special? She's only richer than me in family background. The voices of Consort Qin and Consort Lu could be heard from outside the door. Sister, I heard that the Crown Prince has woken up. They had specially come to visit Xiao Mingyuan, each holding their child. Upon seeing them, Lin Wanqing's face turned pale. In their previous lives, they fought fiercely in the Eastern Palace, and no children survived birth. Don't mention it, she wasn't even respected by the others. The main female lead had to constantly complain to the Crown Prince. What a weak Crown Princess she makes. Compared to that, Shen Qingyao truly did well. Seeing the newborn child, Xiao Mingyuan's eyes filled with deep emotion. Lady Lu, who had a fiery temperament, scowled upon seeing Lin Wanqing in the room and demanded, "Who is this person? Why isn't she bowing to us?" Lin Wanqing's shoulders were trembling violently. In her previous life, the concubine Lu was so arrogant that she directly whipped the female lead with a horsewhip. Damn, if I go back into the Eastern Palace again, won't I have to face them once more? I let out a soft laugh. Madam Ju, are you sure you want the Crown Prince to do this? Lin Wanqing ultimately shook her head. No need. 13. After Lin Wanqing left, Xiao Mingyuan stayed behind to talk with me alone. Qingyao, I don't know how to thank you. Not just the descendants of the Eastern Palace, even the political situation at court. I've stabilized it for him. From Xiao Mingyuan's account, I gained a general understanding of what happened in the previous life. Xiao Mingyuan married Lin Wanqing out of gratitude, yet the two concubines of higher birthright were unwilling to accept. The rear courtyard of the Eastern Palace was constantly filled with quarrels. Lin Wanqing was also dissatisfied with him having two concubines. What she desired was a husband who would be devoted solely to her. Xiao Mingyuan did his best to satisfy her, only spending the night in her courtyard. This only heightened the jealousy of the two other concubines. After Lin Wanqing became pregnant, she ultimately failed to carry the child to term. She failed to manage the Eastern Palace properly and couldn't uncover who had framed her. Instead, Lu's concubine suspected Lin Wanqing of using her child to frame her, and in a fit of rage, whipped her with a horsewhip. Lu's grave disrespect compelled Xiao Mingyuan to depose her. Due to Lu's concubine, Xiao Mingyuan grew estranged from General Lu, and Grand Tutor Qin also switched his allegiance to another prince. The imperial court and the inner courtyard had both turned into a tangled mess. Lin Wanqing, in the courtyard, was heartbroken beyond words. Xiao Mingyuan, in the court, had completely exhausted his spirit. This lifetime, Lin Wanqing's choice has made everything different. After Xiao Mingyuan ascended the throne, he named me Empress. He kept his promise, granting Lin Wanqing an official title, and gave Zhu Jingxing a vacant position. If Lin Wanqing had stayed calm and behaved herself, her life wouldn't have been bad, but no one expected Zhu Jingxing had also been reborn. Help. The male supporting character is killing the female lead. Stimulation. How can this book go this way? I think by now, Lin Wanqing is no longer the main female lead after reincarnating. Zhu Jingxing feels his entire life has been ruined by Lin Wanqing, and he chases after her, swinging his sword. From Zhu Jingxing's perspective, he truly would hate the person who changed his life. In his previous life, Zhu Jingxing was invincible in every battle, had a son and a daughter, and rose to the position of Grand Marshal of the nation. The current Zhu Jingxing has ruined his reputation, possesses martial skill but holds only a leisurely post, and has no descendants. Truly unlucky. Lin Wanqing ultimately couldn't escape the life of a martial artist. The Zhu family sealed off the news, publicly claiming he had passed away due to illness. As soon as Lin Wanqing left, the handwriting vanished without a trace. Xiao Mingyuan showed no reaction to Lin Wanqing's death. With the new emperor's ascension, many in the court proposed holding a selection for imperial consorts. He rejected all of them and finally revealed his feelings towards me. Qingyao, having you in my life is all I need. From then on, the world knew of the emperor and empress's profound love for each other. But I know, I don't love him. 14 Extra chapter. Shen Qingyao's perspective from a previous life. On the day of the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, she personally arranged the engagement. My marriage to Zhu Jingxing was thus settled. My parents had never hoped for me to marry into a higher rank. Married to Zhu Jingxing isn't a bad match. Before entering the Zhu residence, I had already figured Everything out the back courtyard of the Ju family was simple, with only the elderly Madame Ju, who was completely devoted to Buddhism after my marriage. I visited and attended to Madame Ju every single day. Ju Jingxing is filial, and seeing me like this, he treats me even more kindly. In truth, serving Madame Ju isn't particularly exhausting. With so many maids and servants around, I don't need to do much myself. When Ju Jingxing is at home on his days off, he often accompanies me, yet I still urge him to practice more diligently. The battlefield is perilous. One careless move can cost your life. Your diligence in cultivating yourself is the greatest kindness you can show me. Ju Jingxing heeded my advice, and Madame Ju was also pleased with my conduct. It wasn't until half a year after our marriage that I still hadn't conceived. I secretly asked the female physician to check, but she assured me that my body was in good health and that conception should be easy. If the issue wasn't with me, then it must be with Ju Jingxing. Sure enough, I had the doctor examine Ju Jingxing under the pretense of checking his pulse for safety. The young general has endured heavy combat on the battlefield, and his body is severely weakened. It may be difficult for him to father children. I kept this matter hidden and didn't inform old Lady Ju. She had even considered taking a concubine for Ju Jingxing. I summoned a high-ranking monk to help fabricate a lie. The young general has taken countless lives. His fortune and lifespan have been diminished, making it inadvisable for him to have children. Trying forcibly to have a child will only lead to an early death. The high-ranking monk advised Madame Ju to observe vegetarianism and recite Buddhist scriptures. One day, she might thereby resolve the sins of killing. Ju Jingxing privately thanked me for standing up for him, swearing that he would only have eyes for me for the rest of his life. Later, when Ju Jingxing led his troops to the frontier, it was my maternal family who sent him the topographical map of the border region. We achieved a decisive victory in this battle. Ju Jingxing returned to court after the campaign and was promoted in rank and title. I secretly arranged for a physician to treat his health. 3 years later, I finally became pregnant. Only then did Ju Jingxing reveal the truth to his mother, Lady Ju. From then on, Madame Ju never mentioned taking a concubine again, regarding me as the lucky star of the Ju family. My life with Ju Jingxing was filled with love and harmony, with no other person ever entering our bond in the capital. This became a celebrated legend. Even the crown prince's wife in the Eastern Palace envied the fortunate fate of the Shun family's daughter.